Good morning. Hello. Everybody in? Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning. All right.
This is Obed.
Good morning, Obed. How are you?
Yeah, I think Krista tried to log on, so just wait for her a couple of minutes.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you. I know it's early Saturday morning, and I appreciate you joining us and getting things done. Hello, Mr. Michael. I cannot hear you. You're muted. Let me see if I can take you off of mute.
I think he's supposed to kick it off.
He asked to unmute.
Okay, how's that?
I got you.
All right.
How are you this morning?
I'm good. How you doing?
I am blessed, highly favored, and I won't complain because if I did, it wouldn't make a difference.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Might as well keep it positive, you know?
So this session is going to be recorded, and I know we have people coming, and I'm going to have to try to keep an eye on the room here. And I know it's going to be a quick 30 minutes, and it's just getting into 9:30, so I'm going to keep an eye out.
Okay.
And see who's coming in. Normally it tells me that. So how was your week?
Had a great week, busy week, very busy week, but busy is good, you know? Busy
That's
is
right.
good. How about yourself?
You know what? It was a good week. I started a lead generation thing, so I'm getting some good leads that's coming in, so I won't complain.
Okay, that's good.
So yeah, it was a good week, all in all.
Yeah. This market is hot, man. It's still hot. I can't believe how hot it is with everything that's going on, but it's moving, you know.
Yeah, and you know what? With the new administration in, if he can get the things that he wants passed through with the housing, with that tax credit and everything, he's looking for the tax credit instead of having to wait for it to be an upfront credit. That is going to, that $15,000 is going to make a big difference for a lot of people.
It's gonna make it even better. Yep.
Yeah. So, trying to see if anybody else is coming in here. I sent it out to a few people, and they're like, "Yep, we're going to be there. We're going to be there." So.
Okay. I'm actually at my son. My son is having a 7-on-7 football game today. I don't know if you can see all of that. So that's why I'm in the parking lot, and it's like a million kids out here.
In the rain?
In the rain. They're playing 7-on-7 football today, and it's like about 100 teams out here. And so yeah, I had to get him out here by 9. So I'm gonna have to do this.
How is that?
Yeah, they do it. They do it. They are serious about it. It's dead serious.
Okay, I don't know what's going on. Let's see. Obed, you didn't have a problem with getting in?
No.
Not at all. From the link on the email or the text message?
From the link in the email.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Well, I'm not sure where everybody is, but we're gonna get started. Because
I'm trying
huh?
to guide Krista to get in because she having some problem with her internet at home.
Okay.
I said the one Teresa is trying to get in. Did you see?
Do what?
Teresa is trying to get in.
Teresa is in Chris. Okay, here's Chris. I got Chris here. Teresa, it looks like it's her. She's in. Okay, we're in. Chris is connecting. Well, Michael, let's go ahead and we can get started. There are probably some other people to start to pop in, but Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is my January spotlight, and we have Michael Harris. He's actually, he owns a company that is called Property Inspection. So Michael, I'm going to allow you, or not allow, I'm going to ask you, get my words right. I'm going to ask you to please introduce yourself and tell us about your company and everything.
Okay, well, thank you, Terry. I appreciate you having me this morning. I love doing these virtual workshops. My name is Mike Harris. I'm the owner of Wisdom Property Inspections. Been in business for about 8 years now. So Wisdom Property Inspections is just what the title says. We inspect residential and commercial properties for buyers and sellers, but most of the time it's for buyers who are interested in purchasing new or pre-existing residential properties. I love doing this. It's the best move I ever made. Before I started in inspections, I worked in education for about 20 years. And I loved education too, but I wanted something on my own where I could kind of set my own schedule, spend more time with my family and my kids. And so, and be able to help somebody along the way. And so this was the perfect opportunity for me. And I just really enjoy enjoy helping home buyers realize their dreams of home ownership.
Awesome. So you've been in business for how long now?
About 8 years now.
8 years.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the questions that I always have when it comes to inspections, why is it important to get an inspection?
Well, so purchasing a home is probably the most expensive purchase you'll make in your lifetime. You know, I mean, it's probably the biggest purchase, right? And so a lot of people, when I do workshops, this is one of the things that we talk about a lot. A lot of people, especially first-time home buyers, when they're going and searching for a new home, they are caught up in the look of that property. In the when you drive by this property, the curb appeal, the house looks really nice from the outside, and you know you can see yourself living there. There's a white picket fence, and you see everything. It just looks like it's a wonderful home. But you know there are almost always there are defects, especially in pre-existing homes, and so people just can't get caught up in what the house looks like or what they may think, you know, it is without having it inspected. So when you get a home inspected, you can make sure that those defects are pointed out and relayed to the buyer so that they can make an informed decision before they actually purchase.
You made a good point. You said even on new purchase homes, a lot of people think because it's newly built, everything has to be right. But from what I've heard from some past people that experiences that maybe your builder might not know everything that they should know, or they cut corners. So what is so you're saying that actually they should go in, even if it's a new build, go ahead and get an inspection done?
Even if it's a new build, you should get an inspection. We find defects in new construction all the time. And so what people have to remember is that, yeah, it's a new home, but human error is real. So these are humans that are building these homes. And so, and error is almost always likely. And so I've seen situations where there's a thing called a boot jack, something that goes on a roof. And these guys, they move so fast, you know, because they're trying to go to the next job. These contractors, they're trying to hurry up and get to the next job. They have quotas, they have time specifications when they have to get things done. And so they'll move really fast and they'll forget things. And so these boot jacks are really important to have on a roof, because if it's missing, you can get leakage. And I've seen that before. And I've seen clients who have who purchased a new home, and what did they tell me? They told me that after about 10 months, after it had rained and rained over the year, after about 10 months, they came into their son's bedroom and a puddle of water was right there in the middle of the floor, just had come through the ceiling, because over time, because that boot jack was missing, rain had just built up water, and finally when they had a big storm, it just came through and made some damage in the ceiling and rain all over the floor. So those type of things happen when new construction takes place. And like I said, human error is real, and so you want to go ahead and get it inspected anyway.
So if I am trying to sell my house,
Mhm.
and is what I've been told that a lot of people, they will not get an inspection because they feel like it's going to be a buyer. But when you're doing an inspection, let me just change back a little bit. When you're doing an inspection, tell me some of the things, if I am thinking about, okay, should I get an inspection on my existing home because I'm going to sell it? What are some of the advantages for me to get an inspection before putting my house on the market?
Well, one of the main things is that there are no surprises. You know, you're prepared, because more than likely that buyer will have an inspection done on the house, but you're ready for it. So when you inspect a house that you're getting ready to list or getting ready to sell, everything is out there up front. So you know what needs to be repaired, and you know what needs to be done before you list it. So what'll happen if you wait for the buyer's inspector, then you may have something that's uh, could be potentially be a deal breaker. There could be a water heater or a HVAC system that's really on its last leg. And so if you're unaware of that, then those are some expenses that you'll have to come up with to get those things repaired. Or that could be a deal breaker for you getting ready to sell your house. That buyer may just walk away and say, hey, that's too much. We're gone. We're out. We'll go to the next one. And so that's a good reason to just go ahead and get it inspected before you list.
And this is interactive. So if anybody has questions that you want to ask Michael, please feel free to unmute yourself and join in and ask. I know, Michael, we have quite a few investors on here, and I know they may have some questions as well. And just speaking of investment property, because that's something that I'm looking at, a lot of investors go in and they just buy property. But I take it's going to be the same thing with them. You'll be able to point out the things that they need to, like the repair value or whatever. So you're able to assist them with those kind of things as well, or?
Well, what I do is my inspections are pretty much standard across the board, whether it's an investor purchasing the home or just a regular home buyer who's looking to reside in that home. What I don't do, I don't get into cost estimates as much, because that's just not my forte. Because I don't like telling a client that, okay, it'll cost you this much to get this repaired, or get a plumber and it may cost you this much, and then you have plumbers with all different numbers. And so I just don't get into that game. That's really not my area. But what I do is I point out those things that are the things that are most critical, especially to investors, because I know that they're looking at ARV, the after repair value. And so those big five things, your big five, which is your roof, your HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and foundation. Those are the things that I found that investors are most concerned about, are those big five. And so we definitely target those areas and point out any kind of deficiencies as it relates to those big five areas.
Well, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Does just having the inspection show that there's no problems as of the date of the inspection necessarily help an investor after they've sold the property and something goes wrong? Is there an advantage in that respect? If you buy something, how long after closing can they come back and say, hey, we found a problem that, if your inspection shows that everything was fine, is there any advantage there to having that paper or that inspection document?
When you say, is there any advantage there, do you mean?
For me, as far as protection, say, okay, I have an inspection that says I didn't have any plumbing problems, and then after they close, they have plumbing problems. Is there any advantage to having that as an investor, or even a home buyer, if
Well,
get inspection, yeah.
well, I'll say this much, so um, I've heard different inspectors offer guarantees and things of that nature. And really, there's no way, to be perfectly honest, there's no way we can guarantee uh, if a component will fail, 6 months down the line. There's just no guarantee. But what I do more than what's required as a Trek inspector. I don't get technically, they call this term technically exhaustive, but I do probe a little bit more than I think most inspectors do. And so I open up the furnace and I look for rust and things of that nature, because that can tell you whether or not this furnace has the potential to fail or not. Things like that. You're looking at the water heater, you're listening at the water heater to see if you hear any knocking. Those kind of signs uh, can tell you the condition of the water heater. So, that's something that all of us do. We put in, okay, this component was working at the time of the inspection, and that's something that covers us as inspectors. But, I think a good inspector is gonna probe and poke a little bit more to find out whether or not, okay, there's a potential that this component may not last as long as it's intended to, or things like that. And so that's about as much as we can offer as inspectors. There's nothing beyond, I mean, there's really no guarantee on whether or not a component will last, 6 months down the line. It's just, I don't think anybody can offer that.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions or?
Did I answer your question? No, did I answer your question? I hope I answered the question.
Yes, I believe what you're saying is that the inspection is, it's due diligence, but it's not a guarantee. And
Right.
it's still, from someone expert looking at things, it's worth having an idea of what's going on with your property before you run into the surprises. You don't want the surprises.
Correct. So what we do is we look at, the age of that component when we inspect it. So I make sure I look at those labels that are on your condensing unit or your furnace and your water heater. So that can tell us some things here, there. And then once you test those components, that tells us more. And so that's basically all we can go off of. It's all anybody can go off of. Even if you had an expert at, just say, for instance, if you had a HVAC system, the HVAC guy who's a professional, this is what he's gone to school for and gotten that certificate for, or that license for. There's no way he can guarantee you that, okay, a year from now, this condensing unit will still be operating like it should. I mean, there's just no guarantee on that. Nobody can, you can never tell. You can never tell.
Yes, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I want to know what is the average cost for the inspection of single family home?
Mm-hmm. So I would say average cost is anywhere from $350 to $450, depending on. But the cost of a home inspection all depends on the square footage of the home. Any type of amenities that the home may have always contribute to the cost. Say if the home has a pool, there's an added cost there. Septic tank, there's an added cost there. If you are a veteran and you're receiving a VA loan, you have to have what's called a WDI inspection, which is wood destroying insects, most commonly known as a termite inspection. So there's an added cost there. So those things all contribute to the cost, but average cost is anywhere from $350 to $400.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other questions that has come up is it important for a homeowner? And I think a lot of us, when we buy homes, we don't think about this, but what is the importance of getting a home inspected every 5 to 10 years? Because I thought once you've had that first inspection, that's it, you don't have to worry about it. But then I was told, no, you really, if you want to make, tell me about the importance of the frequency of a home inspection to an existing home.
Well, so if you're if you're a homeowner and you intend to stay in that home, let's say your goal is to you got a 30-year loan and you're planning on at least riding 20 of those years out. So, and that's something that's been going around lately. I've been hearing that a lot lately, that people want to get the home inspected on a regular basis. I think it's a great idea because it's just like purchasing another home. You know, you want to know what's going on in the home that you may not be aware of. So, you know, with your HVAC system and different systems in the house, what you want to do is get those things serviced, you know, twice a year before your cold seasons and your warm seasons, your HVAC system. That's the same thing with an inspection. So you'll have an inspector go in and look at all of those components and see how they're operating and what may need to be done. And hey, you know, Mr. Terroni, your HVAC system is not performing like it should. I know it's something you probably didn't notice. It's cool in the house, but there's a little tweak in there. Let's get an HVAC guy to come out here and take a look at it. That's just maybe something that you're aware of. And so I think it's a great idea.
I was told that, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I got another question.
You have another question?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would like to know, during your inspection, is the homeowner have to present you with certificate of inspection from whoever, let's say the technician that involved?
Repeat that question for me. Repeat that again.
For example, I got a home that I basically service my HVAC system. That means that I don't have to call in professional. Do I have to present you an inspection certificate that it have been inspected, or how do you figure that out?
So if I'm understanding your question correctly, so let's say, for instance, if I inspect the home and I suggest that the HVAC system needs to be serviced by a licensed HVAC technician.
Yeah.
What I do in my reports is I'll say that those words, recommend that the HVAC system be serviced by a licensed HVAC technician. Alternatively, have the seller provide documentation that the system has been serviced recently. You know, I always put that in my reports when I recommend service. So yeah, I would recommend, I mean, that's something, I don't think that's something that they have to do, but I think the sellers should provide documentation if they want to sell the house that it's been serviced recently. I'm thinking I'm answering your question right. I hope this.
Yeah, I understand the way you answer the question. And so as a home buyer, according to your experience, if I am buying a home, I should demand that I would like to know whether that home HVAC system or other system in the home have been inspected by a licensed technician. Is that right?
Well, as your inspector, that's the verbiage that I will put in your report. If I feel like this component needs to be serviced, that will be in your report. So I think you should require that documentation be provided to you as a home buyer, especially if you report from your inspector.
Yeah, so let me kind of step in. So if I'm your agent, Obed, and you say that Michael comes out and he sees that there's a problem on the house, he's going to write up that inspection saying, here's a recommendation. You have some electrical problems going on, or you have some HVAC problems going on. And if we go back and we negotiate that with the seller, then you can say, give me the paperwork showing that it was done by a licensed person to protect you. I think is that what you're stating?
Right.
Yeah.
So Michael's going to put it in that report. And then as your agent, we're going to come back. We're going to ask him to get it fixed. We're going to give him a certain amount of days to get it fixed. And when they get it fixed, we want to see the paperwork. We don't want to know that your husband went in there and rigged up something. And with that, Michael, let's have on that question. If you find something in a home that is a problem, say foundation or electrical, and you recommend that it gets fixed. So the home buyer gets it fixed. Is there a time window that you will come out and do another inspection, or does the whole process start again for verification?
So typically there's what's called a reinspection.
Yeah.
which is a fraction of the cost of the original inspection. And so we'll come out and just take a look at those things that the seller uh, um, deemed that they repaired. And I'll look at those particular repairs, make sure they were done according to what was in their inspection report, and then we move on from that point.
Did that answer the question, Obed?
Yes, yes, yes.
Does anybody else have any question? Chris, go ahead, Crystal.
I'll wait for someone that hasn't asked.
No, you're it. You're on.
Okay, this is just one question, and it may be a little bit off target, but I'm wondering, is it useful to have an inspection when you're trying to dispute tax appraisal evaluations for your home? Have you been involved in anything like that? And can you give us any tips on that? Because we're all kind of those that are still, wanting to stay in their properties. They also want to see the property taxes kind of stay low.
Yeah.
And if you know that an appraisal would help, have you been involved in anything like that?
Unfortunately, I have not. And I don't, I want to answer your question intelligently, but if I don't know, I say I don't know because I don't know if an inspection would help either way as far as appraisal is concerned. So I'm really not sure.
So the steps in an inspection. So I know you mentioned, here just some tips basically to give the people here today on what are ways that we can keep our foundation from moving. What about the termites? I've been told that maybe something with your shrubs or whatever. What are some of the tips that you can give us to make sure that our foundations are good, stay healthy, that we don't get those termites,
Mhm.
So what are some of those tips to keep our plumbing going?
Okay. So HVAC system, like I said before, make sure you get it serviced before your summer months and your warm months and your cooling months, twice a year at least, and changing those filters out regularly, depending on the type of filter that you have. If it says 30 days, make sure you do it 30 days. A lot of people think that air filters are just about air quality, and they are, but if they're not changed regularly, they can damage your system. And that filter that costs you $12, if it's not changed regularly, can end up costing you, thousands of dollars, because it will damage your system if it's not changed. Foundation. So a lot of people are really freaked out by cracks on the outside of the house, cracks, especially cracks on the inside of the house. And they don't necessarily mean that there's foundation problems. That means that the house is shifting. And in Texas, the soil is really unstable. Almost all houses move and shift. And you just want to make sure that it's not shifting too much. But where you will see cracks are at the penetrations of homes, and penetrations are windows and doors. At the corners of windows and doors, that's where you look for those cracks, and that just tells you that the house is moving. Now, as far as trying to keep your foundation from shifting as much, a simple thing you can do, purchase is what's called a soaker hose from a Lowe's or Home Depot or your local hardware store. And it looks like a garden hose. Typically it's black with little tiny holes in it. And you run that, turn it on in the morning before you leave to go to work. It won't run your water bill up. Just leave it on for the entire day for 8 hours, because there's little particles of water that are coming out of that hose. And what that does, it just keeps the soil moist around your property, around your foundation. And so that it's not too dry and it's not too wet. And so it'll be stable for your foundation. You want to do that at least twice, 2-3 times a week. And that should help a lot as far as foundation is concerned. Termites, like somebody told you before, you want to keep shrubbery away from the house. You want to have about half of a foot or a foot separation from any kind of shrubbery from your house, because that's all termites need, is to be in contact with some wood that's close to your house to make their way in. You want to keep any kind of wood or fire logs or anything you don't want to set those against your property. Again, that's a way for termites to make entry. wood rot, things like that. Wood rot that's what termites feed off of. They smell it. That's what they're attracted to, and so that's how you can get termite infestation. So there are a number of things you can do. You want to have your roof looked at once a year at least. Just have it looked at, because what we don't know is that we have so many storms here, and you don't know what kind of damage that those hailstorms have done. Beware when you're having roofing contractors come out, because a lot of these guys are just out to make money. So you would get with somebody who your realtor who knows roofers that they trust, somebody to come out and give you a honest evaluation of the roof, because a lot of the guys are gonna say, yeah, you need a new roof, because that's how they make money. But you want to just have it checked once a year. Usually they'll do a free inspection, because it only takes them 5 minutes to get up, take a look, you're good to go, and you move on. So those type of things, and I offer these things with my reports. Most of my clients will get like what's called a home buyer's guide, and it has these type of tips in them that they can look for once they purchase, and they can kind of browse through as they go on into living into that home.
We have about 5 minutes left, so I want you to go ahead and give your plug, tell us who you are, how to contact you, and
Okay.
we'll open it. We'll see if anybody else has anything else before my time runs out here.
Okay. Again, my name is Mike Harris. I'm the owner of Wisdom Property Inspections. We serve the entire DFW Metroplex. Been in business for about 8 years now. We are a multi-inspector firm. So I have 3 other inspectors that work for the company. So when you hire us, it may not be me that comes and does the inspections. It could be one of my inspectors who come out. But again, we love to do this. This is something that I have a passion for. I love helping people out with home ownership. It's a real passion for me. You can contact me at 214-546-9180. Email address is wisdompropertyinspections@gmail.com, and the website is wisdompropertyinspections.com. Take a look at some of our reviews on Google to see what the community is saying about us. We have over 150 5-star reviews, and we'd be happy to be of service to you.
Awesome. All right, we have a little bit. Anybody have any more questions before we let Mike get out there with his son and play some football? Any other questions? Mike, thank you for joining me for Homes with Terroni Spotlight. I appreciate you. I got your information. I'm going to put you in my vendor so I can go ahead and get to referring people to you. So I appreciate your time again, and you have a blessed Sunday.
Okay, you do the same, Terroni. It was really nice to meet you all. Happy house hunting.
All right, thank you.
All right, okay, bye-bye.